I'm a rattlesnake daddy, rattle wherever I please. I'm a rattlesnake daddy, rattle wherever I please. When you hear me rattle, you better get down on your knees. When I throw my rattler over
the next step, which is concealer. Now, the concealer that I'm using, this isn't a concealer for coverage. This is a concealer to provide an eyeshadow base. And I like it. I prefer it to the NYX Jumbo Pencil these days because I find that the NYX Jumbo Pencil, after you blend it in, can start to look a little bluish and kind of highlight any inconsistencies you have on your brow, unless you really, really cake it on, and then it creases. So I have discovered that a slightly more subtle approach is to use a white concealer stick. This is by Maybelline, and I'm simply taking my concealer brush, this is by Sigma, and I'm just patting it on either side of the brush, and then patting that onto my eyelid, close to my eyelash. And I find it gives a slightly more flesh-toned appearance and a little less of a blue appearance than the NYX Jumbo Pencil does. Even though I do really love the NYX Jumbo Pencil for strong theatrical 1930s looks, this to me suits pinup makeup better. And you just want to blend it around that top edge. Pat, don't brush too hard because you're going to end up streaking it, but just blend it around the top edge and around right at the inside corner. You want to pull it up and make it a little more defined. But this is great stuff, and you can also use it on the waterline, but we're just going to use a white pencil on the waterline today. And then I also take it and barely apply a little bit more, and I highlight the brows. But instead of drawing a line across, I'm just going to pull down like this. I don't want to do it on the interior portion of my eyebrow because I feel like they're strong enough already. I don't want to draw any attention to this in here. So I'm keeping it here, and that's going to lift the eye. Keeping this white here is going to lift it. Okay, once you feel like you've got that blended pretty well, you can close up shop with the white concealer. You don't need it anymore. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to my eyeshadow. Now this palette that I'll be using today is available from Too Faced. It is called the
from Tennessee.
Soft and Sexy neutral palette, I believe. I have no lid. I have no case, so I'm not sure. But I've reviewed this before. This is one of my favorite naked eyeshadow palettes. I love this palette, and it's perfect for pinup makeup because it's got all the right little nuances of color in it. So this is an amazing, amazing purchase. If you do not want to purchase this, then by all means, go to the drugstore and find similar shades. Wet n Wild has great eyeshadows these days. CoverGirl has pretty good eyeshadows these days, so you can find something that will give you almost identical appearance. This is just the one I'm using. I'm using a Lalique eyeshadow brush that is a very, very bold, like stiff brush here. It's great. This is a perfect eyeshadow brush for your base color. And the color I'm using is called In the Buff. It is a matte, like nude color. Blunt Type by MAC is almost identical. But I love the fact that this is all in one palette. It's just awesome. Right. So I'm going to apply this using this brush in patting motions. I'm going to apply it to the lid. And then I'm going to sweep it upwards across this naturally darker portion because we've applied that concealer. We've got a portion around our crease that is naturally darker. And then I'm going to dip my brush again and apply to the eyebrow area, pulling it down over where we've applied that concealer. And this is definitely going to take any shine away from the lids. And you already have kind of that subtle 1940s pinup look going because there's just this natural variation of color in the crease. And that's because you've just highlighted the lid and the brow bone. Then I'm going to take my handy little blending brush. This one is from Sigma and it is the E40. Now this is a bit loose and a bit soft and really fluffy. If you have one that's similar to this, only slightly more tapered, that might actually work even better. But this is the only one I've got available to me right now. And it works really great for applying color to the crease if you're just doing a soft wash of color. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this brush and I'm applying this color called Birthday Suit. It's a beautiful, barely shimmery kind of taupe color. And I'm just patting my brush into it, blow it off, and then I'm just gonna do a windshield wiper from focusing on the outer side and then pulling inward. You don't want a lot of shimmer in this look, but I find that the slight bit of shimmer that's in this eyeshadow is actually really attractive under lights. And just make sure that the top edge of your brush is grabbing right where that white from your eyebrow is mixing in with the taupe color you're applying, because that's just going to automatically blend those colors in really nicely. So now you have that wash of color at your crease, and really there's hardly any eyeshadow left. All you're going to do is take a slightly more pointed blending brush. This one is the SS217. This is old, but I believe it's been named something E now. It's basically a synthetic brush that has a slight taper to the end, and this is the travel one, I believe. But this is also from Sigma, and you can see it has this dome shape, but it also has a slight taper to it. That's what's going to make this really good for what we're using it for. This color here is called Like a Virgin. It's a taupe. This palette's in awful shape, y'all. My daughter got into it and started scraping at it. But anyway, this is the color. It's like a taupe, and it's a very concentrated color, so you want to be very careful with it. But I'm just going to dab my brush in it once on one side and once on the other side, blow it off, and I'm going to take the tapered end and hold my hand out really straight and just go right into the crease so that you're getting the under portion of that crease. And I'm barely pulling it out onto the outer half of the lid as well. That's going to give it a really subtle variation of color right here at the base of your brow bone and your outer crease. And you can see you've just got a very subtle wash of color. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do for eyeshadow, we're going to use this same big blending or big eyeshadow brush that we use to apply our base color, and we're going to apply this color, which is called Pink Cheeks, and it is a beautiful satiny, hard for me to get color here, it's this color here, and it's like a beautiful satiny pink. This is like got a slight subtle sheen to it, and I'm going to apply it patting just right at the lid and kind of blend it into that color that we've brought to the outer crease. And this is just going to make the lid look a little bit more pronounced and defined. But I think it works really well in photography, is to get a shimmery cream base. This is from Maybelline, is the Color Tattoo 24-Hour Metal in Barely Branded. And I'm going to take a stiff little brush, just a little on the inner interior, and then after that we're going to move on to eyeliner. Now I consider eyeliner anything that rims the eyes, so we're also going to include a slight hint of color under the eye using that color Like a Virgin right here. Just going to use a stiff little synthetic brush and just barely pat that into my lower lash line. I don't want it to be too obvious, just want it to barely rim the eye. You're just patting that in. Okay, and I'm just gonna blend it out just a little bit with a fluffy brush, just to make sure there's nothing harsh there at all. And then I'll move on to white eyeliner. I'm gonna apply this to the interior waterline. And then we're gonna move on to our winged liner. Now I just did a winged liner tutorial, so I'm not going to be super specific on this part. The thing you'll notice about gel liner also is that it has a softer appearance than a liquid liner because there's not any shine to it. So it just tends to look a little softer, and that's one of the reasons also that it lasts a little longer. It doesn't flake off. And now the most important part about liquid liner or your winged liner is you want to close your eyes and make sure they look the same on both sides, because if you're in your photo shoot and you've got some downward cast eyes, you want to make sure your wings aren't wonky. The next thing you're going to move on to is eyelashes. Okay, and my eyelashes that I'm going to be using are very specific. I have done a lot of practicing with different types of eyelashes, and this is by far my favorite option to use for pinup makeup. I take the Ardell 301s, which are a very subtle and very, very natural looking accent lash for the outer eye. It's a very subtle outer lash. And they're longer at the outer side. And I really like these little bent tweezer things that come with the Kiss lashes, so I keep them whenever I buy Kiss lashes. They're not my favorite brand of lashes, but these little tools are really cool. And I always lift it up and put a little bead of glue on the back of my hand and then sweep the lash through the glue. And instead of applying it, you want to look and see which end is longer. In this lash, it's this end that's longer, so it's going to go on this side. But what I'm going to do is, instead of applying it at the outer edge as it's intended, I'm going to apply it right on top of my eye. And this is the dark glue, so it's going to dry to a dark color. And we can go over it with a little eyeshadow or whatever, but the end of that lash is hitting me right there. And now I'm going to apply my second set of lashes. These are the Ardell 311 accents. Okay, these are the Ardell 311 accents. And I'm going to apply these on the end of my eye. And I am actually gluing these a little above my natural lash line so that they are swooping outward a little bit more. Now you can see the way that these eyelashes thicken in the middle of the eye and then they swoop upwards at the outer edge. To me, that's the key to a pinup eye. Last, we're going to put on mascara. So for the bottom lashes, I'm going to use the L'Oreal or the Maybelline Illegal Lengths mascara for the bottom lashes. A little small brush, which is integral to that, but the best mascara for the bottom lashes is the Bottom Lash Mascara from Clinique. For the top lashes, I am using Senna Voluptuous Mascara. It has a little helix style brush. It's pretty great stuff. You want to make sure that your glue has taken hold before you start applying your mascara. And this is going to help you blend in your false lashes with your real ones. And then to tightline my eyes, I'm going to use this 24/7 pencil from Urban Decay. Never try to look towards the area that you're applying the tight lining eyeliner pencil to. Look away. Like I look up, look down. That'll make the lashes look thicker as well. Okay, so you're on the home stretch now.